This video is brought to you by Incogni. All right, Karoline Leavitt just got asked about Donald Trump's health problem, and her answer was really odd. You know, there was so much batshit crazy stuff being said in this one presser that I didn't know where to begin. Do I begin with Donald Trump's press secretary, Karoline Leavitt, running defense for the Epstein files being covered up by Pam Bondi and Trump? Or do I begin with Karoline Leavitt justifying the firing of the BLS commissioner for purely political reasons? That is a scary firing. Or do I talk about Karoline Leavitt constantly attacking media members sitting in the room while giving the first question to Benny Johnson? They are making a mockery of our country, and we have no time to waste. Let's jump in with this first part. Karoline Leavitt first gives a question to Benny Johnson, an actual stooge who was paid by Russia. There were a few key right-wing creators like Tim Pool, Benny Johnson, Dave Rubin, and a few others that were allegedly being paid $500,000 a month or more or less by Russia. Now, Benny Johnson and Tim Pool are allowed in the press room while Trump is gearing up for his meeting with Russia. It's despicable. Let's watch this.
Started, and as always, we'll start with our new media seat, who is our podcast host today, Benny Johnson. Benny, why don't you kick us off, and thanks for being here.
Thank you, Karoline. As a DC resident of 15 years, I lived on Capitol Hill. I witnessed so many muggings and so much theft.
All right, I'm not even going to play this Russian propaganda. He then goes into personal anecdotes about thefts that he's witnessed. I mean, that's what happens in cities. We need to minimize that, and there are many means we can use to minimize muggings and crimes. Nobody wants crimes to happen, but you don't minimize that by just mobilizing the National Guard or the Marines in California. You do it through preventative funding measures of schools. So Benny Johnson spreads propaganda right off the bat. That's how it opened. He then says, given the heroic actions of this administration, are we going to give a presidential medal to Big Balls?
All of his residents.
Just a very quick follow-up to that. Given the heroic actions of a member of this administration just a few blocks from this building, will the president consider giving the Presidential Medal of Freedom to Big Balls?
I haven't spoken to him about that, but perhaps it's something he would consider. I'll ask him and get back to you, Benny. Thanks for being here. Gabe.
This is a mockery of our country. We are a joke on the world stage. Donald Trump promised that we were going to be respected, but we now have Russian propaganda sitting there asking about Presidential Medal of Freedoms to quote-unquote big balls. We are an entirely unserious country, and this is happening as a distraction for a few things. The Epstein files, the DC takeover, the ICE raids, the lack of Ukraine funding. Let's move on to the next portion. After Karoline Leavitt desperately tries to avoid any mention of Epstein, she then gets caught in a question. She gets asked, you know, a judge just ruled that the grand jury transcript should not be released, and Leavitt hops in.
Another question on something that happened yesterday, but I wanted to get the White House response. A judge ruled that the grand jury transcripts in Ghislaine Maxwell's case should not be released. What's the White House response to that? And do you plan to appeal? And what do you tell President Trump's supporters who want that information released?
We think that decision is unfortunate. Of course, we moved to unseal that information because the president has said he wants to see credible evidence released. As for the appeal process, I would defer you to the Department of Justice for that.
So that's the key portion. When she says credible evidence gets released, who is the arbiter of what's credible or not? Pam Bondi? Pam Bondi herself isn't credible. That's why you appoint a special counsel who is nonpartisan, who is apolitical, to take care of this. After she gets caught in this, she then gets asked about Russia. There are multiple questions about Russia that come up, and it just gets worse and worse. Yesterday at a press conference, Donald Trump repeatedly referred to Alaska as Russia, which is made all the worse by the fact that Alaska was sold to the United States by Russia. So just think about this. Vladimir Putin intentionally chose this meeting in Alaska under one condition: Zelensky cannot be there. Now, he chose this meeting in the place that was sold to the United States by Russia so he can sell to the president of the United States the land grab that he is making in Russia. It's all disgusting and despicable, and they are being played. Let's watch this.
The president said at the podium yesterday twice that he was planning to go to Russia. Was that a verbal slip-up, or does he actually plan to go to Russia?
Perhaps there are plans in the future to travel to Russia, and on Friday the president will be meeting with the Russian President Vladimir Putin in Alaska, as you know.
And he's going to get absolutely rolled. He's already getting rolled before it's even happened. Very quickly, if you enjoy the videos, I keep getting comments like this. Adam, I've been watching since 200,000 subscribers and realized that I never subscribed. Fixing that now. YouTube can glitch out, so make sure you're subscribed to the feed. And in this next clip, Karoline Leavitt says that Trump's meeting with Putin is just a quote-unquote listening exercise. And listen, there are two ways to feel about this. Immediately, I was like, a listening exercise? You're going to allow Vladimir Putin, a murderous dictator, to come to the United States just so you could listen to him, not assert yourself or draw any rules or boundaries, just so you could listen. That is weak. But then the more I thought about it, maybe it's better that Trump isn't doing any of the negotiating on Ukraine's behalf. Maybe it's better if he just was imagining that he was golfing and Putin gets to yap and then the adults in Europe get to handle it. But either way, the meeting shouldn't have happened in the first place. The meeting should not be happening in the first place. That is the baseline. Let's watch this clip.
I think this is a listening exercise for the president. Look, only one party that's involved in this war is going to be present. And so this is for the president to go and to get, again, a more firm and better understanding of how we can hopefully bring this war to an end.
It is not strategy. It is pure weakness. This brings me on to Karoline Leavitt being asked, hey, I'm curious, would the White House let us speak with his physician directly? And you know, this loops in perfectly to every other issue because there is a major lack of transparency problem with this admin. They lie. We know that Trump is a liar, but the scale of the lies are different now. They're covering up the sexual abuse of children while firing the BLS commissioner, you know, the Bureau of Labor Statistics person, just firing them to turn it into a political entity, while also covering up potential health conditions, or at the very least, not allowing the transparency that the White House doctor should allow. Take a look here.
Back to something from last month. You guys announced the president was diagnosed with chronic venous insufficiency after his legs were seen swelling. How's he being treated for that? And while you were upfront about those health issues, curious if the White House would be willing to let us speak with his physician directly about those health issues. I know there were a lot of concerns about the last White House not making the physician available. Would the physician be available in this case?
I don't want to make that commitment on behalf of the physician, but it's certainly something we can look into and explore out of the effort of transparency because unlike...
Wait, I'm so sorry to pause it. It's something we can look into on the effort of transparency. So they're not even saying we're going to be transparent. We're going to maybe put an effort to be transparent. We can look into it.
I don't want to make that commitment on behalf of the physician, but it's certainly something we can look into and explore out of the effort of transparency because unlike the previous White House, there is nothing to hide. You guys see this president working around the clock, literally 24/7, all of the time, and I will be happy to look into that request.
Can we at least get an update on how he's being treated for the swelling legs and for the hands and the other issues?
Look, you see the president every day. He's moving, he's working, he's continuing. There have been no adjustments made to his lifestyle.
That's not an update on how it's being treated. This is the same exact argument that conservatives got mad at when we said, listen, Biden is out there giving speeches. He's moving, he's doing fine. They said, no, we need more. We need more transparency. And this is where the hypocrisy comes in. So, I mean, they basically want to make sure they're aligned with the physician on what's released before they release anything so they can all be in lockstep. This admin is not transparent, and we will continue to hammer that home. Listen, if you live in or around Omaha, I'm doing an event that you can meet me at. We're likely doing a meet and greet after my Omaha, Nebraska event on August 23rd, so click the top link in the description. I'd love to meet you all there. Love you. Peace out. And a quick PSA to my beautiful audience. Please make sure you are protecting your data online and being careful. Something I urge you all to do is interact with my community and comment on my videos and like the posts. But lately, there has been this fake Adam Mockler spam account going around. They spell my name wrong, and it's almost my photo, but they distort my profile photo a bit. So please be aware that I do respond to comments. I debate people. I tell you how grateful I am. I talk to a lot of you in the comments, but I'll never ask you to text me in the comment section. I never give out a number or anything like that in the comment section. So please be careful. Even I get emails from companies that I think are real, but then I realize, wait a minute, this is a fake company trying to get my data, collect my info, and sell it to other places. So while I'm on this topic, I just want to shout out Incogni. I've been using them for a while, and for very specific reasons. They go out and they remove my name and address from these online websites. And as a public figure, I have to make sure people aren't selling my data, but you do as well. So you can sign up for Incogni using the top link in the description below. Use code Mockler to get 60% off the annual plan. That is incogni.com/Mockler. You can take your personal data back, protect your privacy, and request that your data is removed from online websites. One more time, incogni.com/Mockler. Use code Mockler to get 60% off the annual plan. It's a real discount. I appreciate you all, and thank you, Incogni.